Hello, everybody. Welcome to my weird and wonderful world, and of course, welcome all Sparks fans because we are SparksTember. It is part 8. We are talking it's the 8th day, and we are talking about one of my favorite albums. I would say it's a number one in heaven. Which of course I went and I had ordered the original, right? But then I saw Larry Graves buy the this it's 45th anniversary edition, and I had to get it, of course. That's the perfect place to put the hype sticker. That's how the covers are. I am not going to be talking about any of the bonus tracks. I'm only going to be scoring the six songs, which I will be getting to shortly. I really do love that picture of Russell and Ron. I think it's probably my favorite picture of them in all their career. I really do love it. These are the CDs. I like those two pictures here of that's those are the cutouts they use in Beat the Clock. So I'm gonna take those off for a moment because I want to show you these pictures right there of the two. Awesome pictures. I'm not wasting too much time on things. I do want to get to all the main points and parts of this. I do have a little bit to say. I am pressed for time, but I do want to. I I'm not restricting how long I do this. I want to make sure that I get everything, so I'll be ready when the time comes. But but yeah, I have the lyrics and everything right here. This is from the 45th anniversary, which they have included the lyrics, and I want to briefly go into some of the meaning of what I think. But before I do that, let's get into the ranking and ratings, okay? And see where they stand. Now, number one in heaven. Now, there's only six songs, so this will be brief, but Tryouts for the Human Race, of course, being what it's about and how they played it on a kids program and everything, I gave that a 10 out of 10 automatically because it is a great song. I love the sounds. I love the beat. I love the whole. Yeah, it's an excellent song. Academy Award performance that gets a strong 9.5 because out of 10 for sure because it really I there when the song really gets going, there's that sound that comes in that I can't produce that sound, but it's so great. La Dolce Vita that gets a 9.5 out of 10, absolutely for sure. Beat the Clock, Beat the Clock being the I'm not gonna say worst song on there because to say worst, it, it's not because it's not bad. It gets a 9, a solid 9 out of 10. Let me just give you a spoiler. There's nothing under a 9 on this. There's no 8.5. There's no 8. There's 9 or plus because this is an awesome album. I give My Other Voice a 9.5. Again, it's that bass line, that track and bass line at the beginning, and how it comes in and when it changes and it's so hypnotic and captivating and that's one of the main reasons why I like that song so much is that driving bass line. And of course, what it says and the meaning and how it is the perfect little intro into number one song in heaven, which gets a 10 automatically. Number one song in heaven is such a great song. The first time I heard it, of course, was the video where they were just playing the second part. I had no idea there was even a first part to it. That there was a full track. So that is what I give it. Of course, Trials for the Human Race, and so take a look at that score. Now you'll notice that it's a 9.583. Oh, where's how is that score with the rest of them? So there's number one in heaven and where it places. Now I added how many tracks are on each album because that is a factor in everything. So yeah. So as you can see, Propaganda is still my favorite album. It's still my favorite Sparks album. Where number one in heaven, although objectively, according to the numbers, I like it 0.083 more than I do propaganda, right? But just look at it this way, okay? I'll show you why propaganda is my by far still my favorite, okay? So you got number one in heaven here. That's at 9.83. Okay. It has two tens, right? It has two tens and it has three 9.5s and a nine. Just for the fact that propaganda has twice the amount plus one more than number one in heaven has for songs, right? It has how many number tens? It has. I mean, it does have two 9.5s, but it has seven 10 out of 10s, rather than just two 10 out of 10s that number one in heaven has. So you can see why propaganda, even though the number is slightly lower than, I mean, it really suggests again that I absolutely, you know, that I absolutely do love number one in heaven, right? But propaganda, yeah, just having ten out of 10 songs on it automatically make, uh, subjectively, personally, makes it more. So those numbers do have an effect on those numbers, and you need to keep remember everything. Context is everything. How yeah, you do always have to keep everything in context. It's when you take things out of context, that's when misunderstandings happen. That's when you missing very important information. You got to keep it all in context, and I'm doing I want to do that. So it's going to be curious where some of the other stuff ranks. I'm looking forward to Womp That Sucker. I'm looking forward to Angst in My Pants and where that's going to land on this ranking. So you see it right there how it's going to be. Now I'm going to try to briefly. I don't want this more than 15 minutes long, so I'm going to try to briefly talk about my theory about what this album is and that. But I did watch a great video by Paul Barrett, with his Metasparks channel, and where he was talking about the title track of this, and also my other voice. He was including that with it because those two really do kind of tie in together, according to what he was talking about. So I am going to leave you a link down right up here to his channel, so you can check him out and check that video out in particular. That's what I'll be leaving. I'll also be leaving the same links I have been for the since I started this down below and everything. But let's get into this. I actually really do like that they use that Spark Plug logo as their name. It's only for this album, of course, but I do love that. I think it's really great because I think it really represents the album perfectly. I mean, the only mention of cars, because that's what makes a car go. You need that spark to make a car go, and the only place they talk about cars is in the title track of Number One in Heaven, right? So, I mean, you can get hit by it. So if you're crossing the street, you can get hit by a car, or you could be in that car listening to that number one song in heaven, because you could, you know. So let's get very quickly into okay, Trials for the Human Race. We all know what that's about right now, because it's pretty infamous that it's about sperm, and it was played on a kids program, which tickles me pink. I just think that's just the funniest thing. I love it. But of course, it starts off with not even a birth, but just a preconception into birth. You're trying out for the human race and being born, and then once you're born, and okay, I've got a little tiny theory that I think that the female focus of this whole album is that Noel, and I will be getting that album, Dancing is Dangerous album from Noel because I think it's a perfect companion piece, and I need to get it, and it really does. You know, it fills in so much context to this that I think every female reference they're making in this is referring to Noel. And if you keep that in mind, you know, that she is the focus, that she probably was that won from the trials from the human race. She was probably the one that won the contest. She made it to the egg. And then when she was born, she learned how to play her part from a very young age, of course, because she's still young in Academy of Performance. But she's so good at using her charm and her wisdom, and she can charm the pants off of anybody, and or the money out of their wallet. And so she's a player, and but she learned how to act. She can put on a great performance that's Academy Award winning. You know, for a human being, for a person, So that's what that song is about. And I swear they're all related. And then you get La Dolce Vita, which is, the gold diggers, the hungry guys. That's Ron and Russell for sure, enticing Noel into their little you know because you're the only bank that's open all night. I guess that's a dance club. And now that that's clear, can you give me a light? Where do we eat? Because after the dancing, and yeah, I'm pretty sure that they're talking because it's just that line, Mira Mira, guys. There's Lyra in her eyes, La Dolce Vita. That I think is referring to again, is referring to her, is referring to Noelle, that she's that she's what they need to make it big, that they're they're the gold diggers, and they're not talking about being greedy, and they're not it's not talking about money. They're talking about their music career, like that this disco thing might be something to kind of invest into a little bit. So it's like so they're taking that. And Beat the Clock being my least favorite on the album, it's only because it's the first song I heard of them, and I had it isolated from the rest of the album for a bit before I had actually heard this album in its entirety. And then once you get the context of where it places in the album, and for me it is the weakest song. I'm not gonna call it the worst song on the album. It is, but it is my least favorite, and excuse me, why it still gets a solid 9. It's a solid 9 out of 10. There's nothing, as you saw, there was nothing that I showed that was under a 9 on this album. So it deserves that 9.83, 9.583 score. But yeah, Beat the Clock is basically just, you're now that you're in the hustle and the bustle of life, you gotta beat the clock or you're gonna be left behind. Because time is money and money is time, and that you've seen everything there is, you've done everything there is, you've met everyone but Liz. Now who's Liz? Now I've met now I even met old Liz. Oh, you met Liz, and no time for relationships. Skip the foreplay, let her rip, it's like you gotta beat the clock. And then of course, after you beat the clock, you finally settle down and then you hear this other voice. Now I would say it's again it's the main character being Noelle is hearing this voice, my other voice. It's in her head telling her, that you're so independent, but that's going to change very soon. With my other voice, I can destroy the room. And that other voice could be from the music that she's listening to as she's dancing on the floor. Just as Paul Barrett suggests, and again, I've left that down. Well, I've left that up there, and I'm going to leave links to everybody down below, like I have been doing. So I really suggest you check out Paul Barrett's point of view on this. It's much better than mine. But yeah, I think that other voice. I think that that line here, that I'll be all you'll hear for years and years and years. That line is particularly talking about is Ron being the voice of God, saying that once you die and go to heaven, you're gonna be like, it's the number one song in heaven. You'll be hearing it when you get there. It'll be playing for years and years and years. That, that's again my little interpretation of how I heard it and what I saw from it. Then, of course, you get to the number one song in heaven, written, of course, by the mightiest hand. And again, yeah, I can't I can't break it down as well as Paul Barrett did, but yeah, it's life and death. You just went through a whole person's life, and now they're at their end dying. And just like Paul Barrett had said, that first part of the number one song in heaven is 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 that playing at the disco. It's in the disco and everything. But I think once the part two starts, not only is it in the streets in public now, okay, it's now public domain. It's on your car radio. It's a radio hit rather than being in the club as it was previously in part one. But I think it's more than that. I think it's also, not only is it a hit, but it has to be a hit somewhere. They're not saying it's a hit on earth. They're saying it's a number one song in heaven. It's a hit in heaven that is all the rage up here in the clouds. You know, because also from that first part, because if you're closer to here than you care to imagine, or you know, or more, yeah, closer here than you can imagine, closer to here than you care to be. I think you are in heaven on part two, and that you are hearing that song in your, like, in cars and everywhere. And it's not saying that it's unpleasant. It's just saying that no matter how great the song is, even the best, like, people, how much people love Stairway to Heaven, for example. But yet again, many will say, "Hey, it's overplayed and it's overrated." And are they right? Are they wrong? It could be the greatest song, has some of the greatest lyrics, and but some people will, like, yeah, no, yeah, I'm tired of it. No matter how great the song really is, and so on and so forth. But that's just my take on that. Now, I mean, it's great that I have the lyrics and I could tell you a little bit about that. Though I guess the next one I'm going to be talking about tomorrow will be Terminal Jive, which means I'm going to have to listen to that tonight after I get home from work, and then again tomorrow just before making my video. All right, so I gotta let you go because I gotta really get ready for work. I kind of had some technical difficulties in getting all this together the first couple of times, so yeah. I did not want to make a video for you. I had to make a video for you, so I've done it, and I'm happy. I'm happy because I love doing these, and I and I want to do these, So yeah. So it may be aggravating, but it is rewarding in its own way. I am rewarded, and even though these are not going to be viral. They might be viral maybe next year. I don't know. We'll see. Who knows? We'll see. All right. I'm closing now. I love you, and I want you always just to be safe and take care. I will see you on the flip side, and please, everybody, as always, please have a great day, evening, morning, night, afternoon, wherever you may be. Peace, everybody.